Today on The Report, we discuss the tragic and recent shooting at Michigan State University.
Plus an update on the devastating earthquake in Turkey and Syria, as well as California Senator Dianne Feinstein's retirement.
Also, recent UFO sightings and the Ohio train derailment.
And false threats on CSUF campus. The Report starts now. Hello, I'm Elmira Darmanian.
And I'm Alexis Ray.
I'm Noah Sakatis.
And I'm Shelby Martin. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at The Report CSUF or on our Titan TV Instagram at Titan TV CSUF to keep in touch with us and view all of our new content.
A shooting at Michigan State University located in East Lansing, Michigan has left the community shaken after 3 students were killed, 5 were left wounded and in critical condition. The suspected shooter who fled the scene but later died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound was identified as being 43-year-old Anthony Dwayne McCray. Authorities have been unable to find a motive for the shooting as McCray had no known affiliation with the university. The suspect's father, Michael McCray, said that his son had become, quote, evil and mean, end of quote, following the death of his mother 2 years ago. The suspect also had a history of randomly firing a gun in his backyard on a regular basis. A neighbor, Megan Bender, stated how, quote, he was firing a firearm out of the back door of the house into the yard. We're right in the city. You shouldn't be firing a firearm in the middle of the city, end of quote. Gunfire was first reported at 8:18 p.m. Monday night in the campus Berkey Hall, and shortly after the first incident, more gunshots were reported at the school's academic building, the MSU Union. Students and faculty were immediately notified of the situation and were urged to shelter in place. 2 of the 3 victims were found at Berkey Hall, and the third was at the Union building. Of the 3 victims, only 2 have had their names revealed, those being Alexandria Werner and Brian Fraser. The wounded are in critical condition and are being treated at E.W. Sparrow Hospital in Lansing. As a result of the shooting, Michigan State University has postponed all campus events and classes for the next 2 days. So, since we all know the shooter was not affiliated in any way with Michigan State University, and he got on campus pretty easily, what do you guys think could be like a way to prevent stuff like this happening?
Honestly, I'm just not quite sure, just because the campus, most college campuses are open. You know, they're not gated like an elementary school. I mean, even here, anyone can come on the campus, visitors, random people. So I just don't see how they could have made it a safer space besides just sending out more patrol officers to patrol the school. But honestly, I just don't see how they could have seen him and then taken action from that.
I think it's just really tragic and like a sad incident in general, and it's more tragic that we as the American youth are so used to seeing this kind of thing almost every month. It's become really trivial for us. So I really think it's just one of the many like cultural conversations that we should start having with each other. Are we safer with or without firearms? But in the case of campus security, in the way it can be improved, we have Titan cards, the key cards that with locks on nearly every door in the dormitories. So we have about 3 to 4 layers of protection on our campus. It's not very common on some other universities. So I think that maybe that could possibly be implemented into other local campuses in order to add another level of safety.
Well, it's interesting because as someone who used to live in the dorms, I remember it was so easy for someone to still get in. I mean, you take your key card, you walk in, and someone could come behind you and say, oh, I'm just visiting my friend who lives in this building.
That's true.
So it's really, really a challenging way to protect students. And it's heartbreaking that, you know, we have to see this kind of thing happen.
Yeah, and then I think a lot of students also don't want that extra strictness on them. Like I know the talk has been, you know, putting metal detectors at main entries, but a lot of students, you know, don't want that because they don't want to feel like they're in a freaking prison or something. So yeah. I don't know.
So where do we draw the line, you know?
Yeah, we need to figure it out because clearly what we're doing is not enough. These things keep happening. And it's just more so he say, she say. We need to just get on the same page and stop having these two different sides, because clearly all of our lives are in danger.
You guys all make some really valid points, and I honestly cannot wait until the day that we find a solution to this problem, and I really hope that that day comes soon. For our next story, it's been more than a week since the 7.8 magnitude earthquake rattled both Turkey and Syria. And rescue teams in southern Turkey are reporting that they continue to hear voices from survivors underneath the rubble. A 35-year-old woman who has been buried underneath a collapsed building for approximately 205 hours is among one of the 9 recent individuals to have been rescued on Tuesday. This is in addition to a 17 and 21-year-old pair of brothers and an 18-year-old boy and man from the eastern city of Adıyaman. The earthquake and its following destructive aftershocks, which struck both parts of Turkey and Syria on February 6th, is believed to have resulted in the death toll of 41,200 people across both countries. In the coming days of recovery, finding more survivors from the rubble becomes unlikely. There are plans to shift focus towards providing food, shelter, and other resources for the many who have been displaced as a result of the disaster. The UN will be launching a $397 million humanitarian appeal for the victims in Syria for 3 months and is in the process of doing the same for the people in Turkey. So, do you guys really think that we're prepared for earthquakes?
Honestly, I'm not sure that we are. I know some main buildings like hospitals have like a metal roller under them, so if an earthquake were to take place, it would come up and start rolling because they have a lot of patients there. But for our average building, and I think it gets even higher risk when the building is above, 3 levels? So a 5-level building is,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think we're really prepared.
I honestly believe earthquakes is not something that a human can control in any kind of way. The only thing we can do is just be prepared for them. And I feel like genuinely we have to be more educated on the subject. Obviously, the situation in Turkey and Syria is absolutely devastating, and the only way we can help them is just send help, be with them, make people as aware of the situation as possible. And it's just genuinely just be prepared for earthquakes and just look out for them. I think that the responsibility is kind of on us as well as anchors, because we can make people aware if something is coming.
Right.
So yeah, what do you think about it?
That's honestly, that's a very good point. I don't think we're ever prepared for destruction on such a massive seismic scale like what we've just seen in Syria and Turkey. If we saw an earthquake of that kind of magnitude strike Southern California, the results would be absolutely catastrophic.
Yes.
I did some research. We did have a 7.9 earthquake in north of LA. It happened some 200 years ago.
Right.
Thankfully, that was a low population area, limited destruction, but it was just that kind of thing could happen again. So we have to be prepared.
Hopefully we're going to move into the right direction. Senator Dianne Feinstein will retire and now run for re-election at the end of her current term. She is California's longest-serving senator and the oldest at the age of 89. Democrats Katie Porter of Irvine and Adam B. Schiff of Burbank have already launched Senate campaigns in recent weeks. Representative Barbara Lee of Oakland is also expected to jump in to the contest as well. Feinstein's legacy will be long-lived. She played key roles in enacting the nation's only assault weapons ban, released documentation of the CIA's use of torture despite strong pushback from the agency, and blazed a trail for female senators. During her first Senate campaign in 1992, there were only 2 female senators. Thanks to her influence, there are 25 today. Feinstein said in a statement, "I am announcing today I will not run for re-election in 2024, but intend to accomplish as much for California as I can through the end of next year when my term ends." So how do you guys think Feinstein's legacy will continue after her departure?
I think as the longest-serving female senator, she's kind of become a staple and a role model for all women applying at local and state politics. She's had a tremendous record of service, as we've seen, and I think that says a lot about her character.
Absolutely.
I think she kind of also opened the door for all the other female senators. As you've mentioned, 25 more females. That's honestly, that shows something. We're improving.
Yes.
And it's just insane to think how much of a trailblazer she was, and especially with her age too. I mean, not only was she helping women, but she was also helping people, defy the whole ageism concept.
Absolutely.
And I think that's amazing. I hope kids learn about her in history classes.
She's clearly, she's created a pathway, really, for filling out positions of authority that were traditionally male-dominated since forever. Like, we haven't seen that since the entire history of our country, and it's now happening en masse, and that's really good for us, I think.
Right, yeah. I think it's headed in the right direction for female senators to come, and I'm not sure her place will ever be taken. I think it will always carry on her legacy, but I'm really have a lot of hope for future female senators. Hopefully they can follow in her footsteps, because she created a great foundation for all of them.
In her absence, I think Californians will gradually find their footing again in a constantly changing political climate. UFOs, aliens, or spy planes, mysterious flying craft are appearing daily. The U.S. government shot down multiple unidentified flying objects in the past week. The objects were downed over Alaska, Michigan, and Canada's Yukon territory. No one has been able to conclusively distinguish what they are. When asked about the possibility that the objects are extraterrestrial in nature, General Glenn Vanerick, the head of NORAD and U.S. Northern Command, said, quote, "I haven't ruled out anything at this point. We continue to assess every threat or potential threat unknown that approaches North America with an attempt to identify it," end quote. According to a report from the Director of National Intelligence in 2021, U.S. military personnel have reported dozens of sightings of aerial objects that defy explanation. So, what do you guys think of these UFO sightings? Could they possibly be connected to the recent Chinese spy balloon that was shot down in the past few weeks?
I mean, honestly, UFOs could be absolutely anything. I think aliens definitely exist. I also think that, there's obviously so many planets in our solar system. Who's to say we're not the only one with intelligent life? Could it be connected? Not sure, but I definitely know that they exist. And
yeah, honestly, I'm not sure that the actual UFO talk is connected to the Chinese balloon. I just think that's kind of a far stretch, honestly, because as soon as it came into our territory, we already had an idea of what it was and where it came from. Like it's the name already, Chinese spy balloon. Mm-hmm. So it's not an unidentified object. Of course, we don't know what it's made out of and stuff like that. They probably do now that they've shot it down. But I just think that's another kind of cover to make this mainstream and just get people's attention. But scientifically speaking, I don't think that the Chinese spy balloon was the actual UFO.
I mean, maybe they're just trying to look for the answers, because if it's identified flying object,
true.
Nobody can tell. Yeah. So, and maybe those kind of news are a distraction from something that is bigger. We can never know. We can never tell. We just have to wait and see.
What do you guys think is causing then this rise in unidentified flying objects sightings?
Honestly, a lot of it could be just maybe, I'm not sure, maybe like drones or cameras, maybe just an increase in technology. I know that with social media sites like TikTok especially, a lot of people use that to sort of propel conspiracy theories. And I mean, it is fun to sort of delve into those, but it could be anything.
I truly feel like just some people like the unknown. Like, I absolutely love all the conspiracy theories, everything that is just has no answers, because there's so much space to think about what actually happened. Yeah, it's just like so many questions and absolutely no answers.
There's so much happening in the world over the past 3 years that nothing is surprising anymore. And, even in Ohio, we've got a lot more going on too. The Ohio train toxic chemical spill in East Palestine has growing concerns about the disaster's effects on human health and the environment. The train ran off the tracks on February 3rd, leading to the start of a huge fire. The authorities decided to intentionally burn the chemical cargo in some of their cars rather than risk an explosion or any other uncontrolled disaster. 5 of the cars were carrying vinyl chloride, a colorless gas used in making plastic products that can cause dizziness, headaches, and drowsiness. When inhaled in the short term, it can cause a rare form of liver cancer and chronic exposure. For days, authorities have been telling residents of the area around East Palestine, Ohio, that it's been safe to return home after the 150-car train carrying hazardous chemicals derailed. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources says that the chemical spill resulting from the derailment had killed an estimated 3,500 small fish as of this past Wednesday. For some people living near the derailment site, the reports continue to express fear that they and their animals might be exposed to chemicals in the air. The EPA said that as of last Saturday evening, it had not detected vinyl chloride in 210 homes that underwent screening. So, what do you guys think? Do you think the government should enact some sort of safety plan for the residents? Or how can they recover from such a hazardous spill?
I think it's of the utmost importance that the Biden administration act as quickly as possible to evacuate the areas that are of a high level risk for chemical contamination. In the past, we've seen previous administrations falter on quick reaction to the crisis, so I think that this is the most important time right now for the president to act.
Absolutely.
I agree, yeah. This stuff needs to get handled because, I mean, the risk factors, those people can get cancer, all types of illnesses just from inhaling it. So I think Biden needs to get on it, get a search team out there, check the levels, the chemical levels and everything, and provide a synopsis to any nearby residents and start screening a little bit more. I know they did say they did do a couple screenings, like 200 or so. But, you know, they don't always do a good, clean job, like a thorough job, I meant to say. So we got to get that going, I think.
This, honestly, in my opinion, this is very scary because I just think any kind of chemical spill is very, very dangerous for people. And it is a big kind of incident that happened, and people, just the community is not able to take care of it by themselves. So I definitely think that there should be the help of the government in there.
The question in my mind, at least right now, is do we have any other safer methods for transporting such hazardous materials across the country other than train? Is it the safest option, or is it the cheapest?
Good point.
That's true.
I truly believe that there are other options. It's just that chemical spills never happen that much. This is once in a while type of event, and it's not like it happens every day. But I think that after this incident, there are obviously going to be some solutions that the government will look into after they kind of finish taking care of all the damage that happened.
It really needs to get under control because, like you said, it's hazardous, it's dangerous, and people's lives are at stake. So, yeah, we got to get this under wraps for sure.
I 100% agree with everyone, and I think you guys made really good points.
Yes.
Police activity on campus was heightened this past Wednesday after an instructor in the College of the Arts received a vague email urging them to cancel class for a, quote, once-in-a-lifetime event, end of quote. The email was later revealed to be a misguided joke about an event hosted by the gaming company Nintendo, where new video games and special releases are announced. This resulted in the cancellation of several classes and clubs. The instructor received an email from an anonymous Gmail account referencing the event happening on February 8th around 2 p.m. and urged the professor to cancel class for the, quote, good of humanity. In a press release by Captain Willie from the CSUF Police Department said, quote, after hours of investigation from our detectives, we learned of a Nintendo Direct event that would occur at the exact date and time the individual suggested the class be canceled, end of quote. In response to safety concerns, CSUF PD sent out all their officers, including their K-9 team, to patrol the campus. Because there was no threat or grave bodily injury, and person who sent the email will not face criminal charges or arrest. Willie said that CSUF PD is equipped with all the necessary resources to deal with active emergencies and threats should they arrive. This was honestly a pretty eventful week because I came on campus and the professor starts talking about something. I'm going to excuse her absence from the class today, and I was very confused as of what happened. Yeah, what do you guys think about this kind of incident? Yeah, it's just so weird.
Yeah.
I came on campus and I was like, is my life threatened? Am I not supposed to be here? Because the class was half empty as well.
Right.
So I was very confused. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I definitely think students and faculty were a little bit alarmed. I had the pleasure of talking to a couple students on my way walking to the car. So I don't know. I think the CSUF police did do a good job with immediately sending out that statement. I was able to also talk to Captain Willie, and he said he received information of the incident around 4 p.m. that day, and then they sent out that email around, I think it was 11:47 p.m. It was at night.
Oh,
yeah.
before, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah, so I think that time was pretty okay. He could have sent it immediately, but then again, they have to really search out,
check everything.
check everything, make sure it's for real.
The panic starts and everything, yeah.
I mean, in today's climate, you can never be too safe. Even if it was some sort of a joke, it's still not a tasteful joke by any means. So I think that they were in the right to heighten the campus security, and a lot of professors were also in the right to cancel classes.
I think in light of recent tragedies happening all across the country, students should probably be more mindful of their speech, especially concerning very vague references to school events around campus. But I think that campus police handled the whole situation very professionally, and in the end, it's just really unfortunate that we have to take this level of precaution over jokes.
I mean, we have identified flying objects and Nintendo Switch events, so I'm not surprised anymore. And with that, that's all we have time for today.
Have a good week, everyone.
And stay tuned for more news, views, and info.
We'll see you next time on The Report.